All right, 7th graders, welcome back. So you should have just completed the introduction, which went through what your learning targets are for this whole case study, how to do the reading and the highlighting, and then now you guys will move on and complete part 1 today as well, which is the video you guys are watching. So for part 1 specifically, your learning target is that you can compare and contrast the 2 different elk populations and habitats of Yellowstone. So main thing that we're looking at is this elk population, which you guys already know some details. You know that the Lamar Valley elk tend to live a lot longer. They can live up to 25 years, but on average they live about 16, versus the Madison River elk herd live to about 10 years, and with a few living to no more than 16. So quite a big age difference or lifespan difference for each herd. And then you also saw that your Lamar herd is quite large, about 8 to 12,000 versus only about 5 to 800 for the Madison River Valley elk size. Okay, so moving on, I'm just going to show you guys some pictures. So this is the Lamar Valley. Some of you guys maybe recognize this a little bit more. It's very open, very flat, has some hills. This is mainly if you guys are driving through Yellowstone, you guys see a lot of bison in this area as well. Okay, and that's up in the northeastern corner, whereas this is our Madison River. You guys kind of got the river that runs through it, and it's kind of surrounded by these mountains on either side. It's a little valley, much more closed in, not as open. You would see fewer bison roaming around here, and this is in the northwestern corner. Okay, so like we did with the introduction, you guys have something to read on the next slide or slides, okay? You're going to highlight the same thing, and this key is also on that reading. So any information about the Lamar Valley, you're going to highlight yellow. Any information about the Madison River Valley, you're going to highlight purple. And then any general information that you guys just think is important for you to know to help you solve this mystery of why these 2 elk population are so different in size and lifespan. Okay, so you're going to do that, and then finally you're going to answer some questions for part 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to your reading. You have 2 slides to read for this, and I'll read it to you guys, and then you can do the highlighting for you. Okay, so remember, when you are highlighting, you're going to use the draw tool, and you really want to keep your highlighting minimal. Okay, think about it this way. If you had to memorize the information you highlight, which you don't, okay, you guys wouldn't want to highlight every single word because that's a lot to memorize. Really think about what your guys' 2 goals are of this, is to be able to compare. So if we look back at our learning target, we're comparing the 2 different elk populations, and we're also comparing their 2 different habitats. So you're really going to want to focus on that information when you read. All right. So Rocky Mountain elk are the most abundant large mammal in Yellowstone National Park, numbering up to 20,000 in the summer. Male elk, called bulls, have large antlers containing calcium, which are shed and regrown each year. Female elk, called cows, usually have 1 baby or calf per year. Although widely distributed through Yellowstone, large concentrations of elk are found in the Lamar Valley in the northeast region of the park. The valley is approximately 25 kilometers long and up to 3 kilometers wide, void of trees, with the Lamar River cutting a channel through glacial deposit material. The edges of the valley rise up to the forests of Douglas fir, lodgepole pine, and Engelmann spruce. The predominant vegetation in this valley is mountain big sagebrush and several grass species, including Idaho fescue. The road to Cook City, Montana follows the northern edge of the valley and is maintained year-round. Next slide. In addition to elk, the area is home to wolves, reintroduced to Yellowstone in 1995, grizzly bears, bison, coyotes, and other small mammals. Snowfall is abundant, but foraging opportunities for the animals exist, so a winter population of 8,000 to 12,000 elk has historically been supported in the Lamar Valley. By contrast, the Madison River Valley is only 10 kilometers long and up to 2 kilometers wide. The Madison River Valley is formed by the confluence of the Firehole and Gibbons River, so that's where they come together, at the head of the drainage. The underlying bedrock is volcanic. The West Entrance Road cuts through the valley, connecting West Yellowstone, Montana, and Madison Junction, Wyoming, in Yellowstone Park. The road is close to wheeled traffic in the winter, but is used by over snow vehicles. A resident herd of 500 to 800 elk has historically inhabited this area, along with mule deer, bison, coyotes, wolves, occasional grizzly bears, and other small mammals. Geothermal activity along the valley floor keeps winter snow melted away from the river and hot springs areas. Some grasses are able to grow year-round in the hot springs area, and elk use this food source throughout the year. Okay, so you guys should have read and highlighted those 4 paragraphs, and these are your questions you need to answer. If you were an elk, in which habitat would you choose to live and why? And then what effects do you think predation has on elk herd in the 2 habitats? So think about how the habitats are different, how their predators maybe are or are not different, and how that might affect the populations. Okay, the last set of questions here is a little compare and contrast table. So you're going to tell me the differences between the Lamar Valley and the Madison River Valley. So what major differences did you notice between the 2 habitats? Fill out the table below. So for instance, you guys might look at size. So you're going to go back up. You should have this highlighted and say, all right, the valley for Lamar is 25 kilometers long and 3 wide. So you might say 25 kilometers long by 3 kilometers wide. Okay? Madison River Valley, on the other hand, you guys are going to use that same topic for your comparison here. If we go back up, is only 2 kilometers wide and 10 kilometers long. So you go 10 kilometers long and 2 wide. Okay, so you guys can see that the Lamar Valley is way larger than the Madison River. So you guys should be able to find these differences pretty easy. It should be some of those little snippets that you guys highlighted. So go ahead, finish filling out that table, and you guys can move on to part 2 for next week. So you're done for this week, and you guys will complete, sorry, not next week, but the following week, you guys will complete parts 2 and 3. Hope you're all having a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Remember not to turn this in, as you guys still have a bunch of parts to finish, and you are more than welcome to work ahead. Have a good